The film opens in a luxurious kitchen. Every ingredient is meticulously selected. The meat must be fresh. The fish impeccable. Each dish is inspected time and again before being served. Looking at this, you would assume it's a restaurant for the elite. But the reality is the exact opposite. This is the meal prep area for the most bizarre prison system ever captured on screen. A place where your fate is determined solely by the level you wake up on each morning. If you are on the upper levels, you eat your fill. If you are on the lower levels, you must fight to survive. And if you are too deep, the only thing waiting for you is death. At that very moment, the film introduces three seemingly simple phrases: those above, those below, and those who fall. Three short phrases, yet they are the key to unlocking the entire film. The scene shifts. Goring slowly opens his eyes to see an old man with gray hair hovering over him. The old man sways before his gaze and speaks, level 48. Goring, naturally, doesn't understand. Why start a conversation with that? Because the level you are on is a matter of life and death. Goring doesn't grasp it yet, but he will soon enough. The old man quickly offers the next vital piece of information. The question is, what are we going to eat? Eat what? Obviously, what the people above don't want. Who are the people above? They are the ones living above us. It's clear that Goring knows nothing of the rules here. He even asks about the identities of those above. But identity means nothing in this place. What matters is that they are on higher levels, which gives them the power to consume more food than those below. Throughout the film, food serves as a metaphor for social resources. Once you realize this, the deeper subtext of the story becomes clear. Goring stands up and looks down. Below lies an endless abyss that leaves him trembling with fear. Above, there are countless floors. The old man claims there are 47 levels above them, though even he doesn't know how many lie below. Goring introduces himself, but the old man snaps. "Stay away from me." This shows that the old man doesn't care who the people above are. Nor does he care to know the man sharing his cell. After all, their peaceful coexistence is merely temporary. When the food runs out, they will be forced to kill each other to survive. This mirrors a harsh social reality. When there is no conflict of interest, people can live in peace. But once resources are at stake, humans will inevitably turn on one another. Thus, the old man sees no point in befriending a potential rival. Just then, the platform filled with food descends, and the old man lunges at it, ravenously gorging himself. Goring, however, is repulsed. The food is clearly leftovers, scraps mangled by those above, and he has no appetite for it. He looks up to see the residents above watching them. If there are 47 levels above us, and 2 people per level are eating the leftovers from the 94th level, don't worry, the more that platform passes through, the less those above will have. "Do you have no appetite?" the old man asks, his words laden with subtext. As time passes, the number of people above will dwindle. As mentioned earlier, once food runs out, humans have no choice but to resort to cannibalism to sustain life. But if the food at the top is clearly plentiful, why do they still slaughter one another? The reason is simple. Only when your cellmate dies can you be reassigned to a higher level the following month. This, too, reflects the brutal laws of society. Goring asks the old man why the number of people above keeps decreasing. Obviously, for that very reason. I didn't understand it myself until I was on level 8. Naturally, the old man won't tell Goring about the need to kill to ascend, until Goring figures out this rule himself. It remains the old man's survival secret. From his words, we gather that the highest level he has ever reached is level 8. This proves beyond a doubt that he must have killed his cellmates, for there is no other way to have reached such a high level. The old man kindly warns Goring to eat something, or he'll have nothing later when hunger truly sets in. Goring picks up an apple from the pile of scraps, intending to save it for later. Just then, the platform descends. The old man, having eaten his fill, spits on the remaining food. Why did you do that? So they eat it. And what about the people above? They do the exact same thing, of course. No matter how much those above mangle the food, those below have no choice but to eat it. It is just like our position at the bottom of the social ladder. No matter what scraps the upper class leaves behind, we have to take whatever we can get. After all, it is the best we can hope to reach. The barriers between classes are near impossible to break. Much like the levels in this prison, those trapped inside are destined to remain beneath those above them. Shortly after, Goring feels the temperature rising. The old man explains that they will soon be burned to ash because Goring is still holding the apple. It turns out that no one is allowed to hoard food. If you do, You are either burned to death or frozen solid. Goring immediately tosses the apple away, and the temperature returns to normal. Goring then asks the old man why he is here. The old man remains silent. So Goring shares his own reason. He isn't here for a crime, he came voluntarily to quit smoking. When he first arrived, the interviewer asked him to leave behind his most prized possession. Goring chose his copy of Don Quixote. From this, we can see he is a romantic idealist. The old man brought a knife. And the character, Little Black, who appears later, brings a rope. Only Goring surrendered a personal interest. The next day, the platform descends. The old man eats ravenously as usual, while Goring stands motionless. He hasn't eaten or drunk anything for a full day, he must be starving. This shows he still refuses to compromise. The only reason he hasn't is that he hasn't yet reached the absolute limit of his hunger. Even now, he has the curiosity to press the old man further. Having eaten his fill, the old man's mood improves. And he finally shares his story. He happened to see a TV commercial for a knife sharpener. The manufacturer hyped the product to the heavens. But when he tried it at home, it was completely useless. This infuriated him. Later, he saw an ad for a knife from the same company. And when he bought it, it was razor sharp. But what enraged him was realizing the man selling the sharpener and the man selling the knife were the same person. In a fit of rage, he threw his TV out the window, inadvertently killing a passerby. That's how he became a murderer and ended up here. The old man shows no remorse, revealing that his core is inherently brutal. Goring, initially polite, turns somber as he listens to this tale of murder, a flicker of fear crossing his eyes. It is only at this moment that Goring dimly realizes he has arrived in the wrong place. However, his first reaction is still to ask how many levels there are. I don't know, but probably more than 132. I was once on level 132. And there are many more levels beneath that. And how much food reaches that far down? Nothing at all. I don't believe you could have survived that. I didn't say I didn't eat. I said the platform was empty. However, once the reality of the situation sinks in, Goring's first reaction is to try and reason with the people above, asking them to ration the food and pass that advice down to the people on level 46. Please leave some opportunities for us to make a living. As long as people are involved, we all know that is never going to happen. And so, the old man stops him, realizing that talking to those above is useless. Goring turns his attention to those below, level 49. Are you listening to me? Here is your wine, you idiots. Even at this stage, Goring has yet to realize that the barriers between classes are unbreakable. No matter which level they're on, people only care about their own interests, making communication the most futile exercise of all. I've given you a lesson. Now tell me, what did you choose? Obviously, a samurai sword. To the old man, this sword holds profound significance. It has aided him countless times, and will continue to aid his survival in the days to come. By the third day, Goring finally approaches the platform and begins to pick at the scraps. It proves that he has finally reached such a level of hunger that he is forced to take the first step toward compromise. He is beginning to accept the laws of this place. That day, as Goring is reading, someone suddenly falls from above. Is that a person? Of course it's a person. I just hope he was an alcoholic, because we're running low on wine. Goring is horrified by the loss of a human life. But all Trimagasi cares about is the distribution of food. One less person means there is more food to go around. If the person who fell didn't drink, the wine ration wouldn't change. Therefore, the old man only hopes the victim was a drunkard so that he might get a larger share of the wine. Goring is stunned by the old man's coldness. He looks down at those in the levels below, watching them watch the body. Is no one going to do anything? Goring's screaming is born from the last vestiges of his humanity struggling to survive, while the apathy of the others is the paralysis that comes from being shaped by the rules of this place. Goring asks Trimagasi which levels he has spent time on. My first month, I woke up on level 72, then 26, then 38, 43, 11, then 79, I was on 38 again. And the worst was last month, on level 132. Now, I'm here. It is clear that Trimagasi remembers every single level he has been through, suggesting that every experience there has been seared into his memory. He has been here for 9 months, this is his 10th. Goring is curious about his former cellmates, but the old man brushes it off, saying it doesn't matter. He has had more than one cellmate, and the fact that he is still alive is all the proof needed to know that those cellmates are dead. By this point, Goring realizes something is wrong. The old man previously said that on level 132, there was absolutely no food. Yet, when Goring first met him, the old man didn't look like someone who had been starving for a long time. There is only one possible conclusion: he had eaten his cellmate. When Goring voices this suspicion, Trimagasi's panic is palpable, and Goring guessing the truth is, for him, the furthest thing from a fortunate turn of events. Just then, the platform descends, and Trimagasi immediately lunges for the food. Goring looks over and discovers a woman sitting on the platform. He is momentarily startled, but Trimagasi's expression remains unchanged, proving this isn't the first time he's seen her. Don't worry about her, just keep eating. Is she hurt? Nothing serious. Watching Goring stare at her, Trimagasi explains that this woman descends to these levels every month to find her son. Before she gets on the platform, she kills her cellmate. That way, she gets the chance to be near her son the following month. For all I know, that cellmate who fell earlier might have been pushed by her. Trimagasi's assumption isn't entirely impossible. As the platform continues to descend, the men on level 49 immediately drag the woman off the table. Goring screams at them to stop, but the woman's cries echo from below. Goring can only watch in helpless anxiety. Moments later, the screams turn into a man's voice, and soon after, the woman climbs back onto the platform alone. It is clear she has just killed both of them. She looks up at Goring, then travels down with the platform as it continues its descent. During the following month, Goring adapts to life in the pit. He becomes just like Trimagasi, devouring his food the moment the platform arrives. Their life together becomes somewhat harmonious, at least until they complete their full month on level 48. The night before the move, everyone in the prison is knocked unconscious by a strange gas. The next morning, when Goring opens his eyes, he realizes he is tied tightly to the bed. He screams and struggles in desperation, but Trimagasi approaches and urges him to stay calm, because neither of them killed the other last month. They have been dumped onto level 171. Goring is younger and stronger than the old man. If they were to start fighting over food, Trimagasi knows he would be no match for him. Thus, he struck first. He doesn't intend to eat Goring on the first day. However, he wants to wait 7 days. This way, Goring's system will be purged. And after a week of starvation, Trimagasi finds the thought of human flesh much easier to swallow. Just then, a scream echoes from above. Someone else has fallen, and the platform descends. Apart from a pile of dirty dishes, there isn't a single scrap of food to be found. For the next 7 days, they are both tormented by the madness of starvation. But Trimagasi remains patient, even as his stomach clings to his ribs. He doesn't lay a hand on Goring. But on the 7th day, he approaches Goring with a knife in hand. I want you to know that I hold you responsible for my death, not those above. Not this environment, not the administration, you. Goring understands that the true perpetrators are those above, and that this environment is what forces them to slaughter one another. Trimagasi is merely an unwilling participant, a butcher for the ruling class. But since Goring doesn't even know who the administrators are, he can only focus his hatred on the man with the knife. This is the brutal reality of society. Humans cannot rebel against the system itself. So they resort to killing one another. Unable to vent their hatred toward the environment, they turn it toward the person directly in front of them. Trimagasi fears that if he kills Goring all at once, the meat will spoil. To keep the freshness, he chooses to slice away pieces of Goring slowly. He starts with the thigh. The clinical, practiced way he carries out this cruelty proves that this is far from his first time. He is a seasoned cannibal. And just as Goring lets out a heart-wrenching scream, the woman arrives on the platform once again. Because of Goring's previous act of kindness, before the old man can react, she grabs the knife from the floor and plunges it into his chest. She then moves to cut the ropes binding Goring, handing the knife to him with a message that couldn't be clearer: he must finish Trimagasi himself. Murder is the inevitable survival rule here, and she hopes Goring will finally learn it. Goring, consumed by a cocktail of rage and trauma, crawls toward Trimagasi and stabs him repeatedly. With this, Goring completes his second lesson in survival. As for the first lesson, it was learning to eat the leftovers of others, a rule of survival that seems to apply to society as a whole. The second is learning to fight and kill, as that is the only way to endure in such a brutal environment. The woman stays behind for a few days to care for Goring, feeding him Trimagasi's flesh. Goring, starving and desperate, swallows the meat, but afterward, he is overcome with a look of profound shame, proof that even now, his conscience has not been completely extinguished. What is your son's name? The moment her son is mentioned, the woman's demeanor turns defensive. He is her only vulnerability. A line no one is permitted to cross. She soon descends with the platform again. The scene shifts back to the kitchen. Because a single strand of hair is found in a portion of pudding, the head chef beats the staff mercilessly. He even forces the cook responsible for the dessert to remove his hat, inspecting every head to find the source of the hair. This scene creates a jarring, sharp contrast to the horrors unfolding below. Trimagasi's remains have begun to decompose, despite the maggots crawling over the flesh. Goring has no choice but to force it down. The old man is still with him, though in a different form. They continue to chat occasionally, though now the film's tone shifts to a deep crimson, a sign that these conversations are merely hallucinations. Goring's mind is unraveling. He can no longer distinguish between dream and reality. He drifts through the month in a haze. When Goring wakes again, he finds a dog before him, and sitting opposite is a woman. They have clearly been moved to a new level. Goring looks at the number on the wall, level 33. It is much higher than where he started. This month, there is no need to worry about food. After they exchange a few words, Goring recognizes her. When he looks at her face, he realizes she is the woman who interviewed him. During that interview, Imogwiri had asked him many questions, the last being about his favorite dish. Why is that important? We added to the menu. So, was I accepted? No, escargot with wine sauce. This means that after each prisoner enters, the kitchen adds their favorite dish to the menu. If everyone only ate their own portion, there would be more than enough food for everyone. Unfortunately, when humans have access to resources from the levels above, no one follows the rules. They will always eat until they are sated. You must have sent many people down here before they sent you. If I recall correctly, you came here voluntarily. And no one sent me here. I applied to be here. Then you didn't know that people die every day in this pit. We prefer to call it the Vertical Self-Management Center. Goring lets out a sneer of contempt. He had indeed volunteered, but before he arrived, no one told him this was a prison where people were forced to eat one another. 200 levels, Imogwiri says. Like Goring when he first arrived, she is still a firm idealist. Bringing her pet dog with her is proof of that idealism. She firmly believes that through her own strength, she can convince everyone to voluntarily unite and eat only their allotted share. In this way, no matter which level they're assigned to later, there would be no more fighting over resources. Back then, when Goring spoke of such things, Trimagasi laughed. Now, it is Goring's turn to laugh. She is just like he once was, underestimating the insatiable greed of human nature. Perhaps everyone who enters this place arrives with such naive, idealized thoughts, but after just 1 month, they see the true rules of this world. The platform reaches level 33. Goring, like Trimagasi before him, immediately begins to eat ravenously. Imogwiri, however, shares food with those below, choosing not to eat herself. Instead, saving her portion for her dog. She decides to alternate meals with the dog. Goring accidentally mentions the woman's son, but Imogwiri corrects him. No, children under 16 are not allowed in this pit. But there is at least one. I told you, children under 16 are not allowed. The administration is absolutely strict about this. Since children under 16 aren't permitted here, does the son the woman is searching for truly exist? This has always been a major point of debate among viewers. However, Goring has no time to dwell on it. As the platform descends, Imogwiri calls out to the people below, "Good morning. Gentlemen, please, listen to me. I have left some portions for you. Please, eat only what is yours. And if possible, prepare 2 similar portions for those on the next level." By doing this, the food would be distributed equally. Imogwiri's intentions are noble, but sadly, no one listens. She understands that achieving this is incredibly difficult and requires persistent, day-by-day effort. Unfortunately, her perseverance yields no results. Every day, the people below confront her and hurl insults. Goring can no longer stand by. "Listen up, you bastards. Either you do what this lady asks, or I will defecate on your food every single day. And I will smear that excrement around until there isn't a single grain of rice left clean. Do you hear me?" The fact that Goring can utter such words proves that his idealism hasn't been completely extinguished. He knows Imogwiri's methods are laughable, yet he cannot help but try to help. Hearing Goring's threat, the people below actually eat only the portions Imogwiri prepared. Humans are just like that. They only compromise when their personal interests are threatened. This outcome leaves Imogwiri somewhat disappointed. Because it is clear that those below didn't unite voluntarily. They yielded only out of fear of Goring's threat. Let's see if we can persuade those above. No, those above won't listen, because I cannot threaten upward. You see. This dialogue is quite telling. They can threaten those below them, but they cannot threaten those above. It is a perfect portrait of the big fish eats the small fish reality. That day, Miharu arrives on the platform again, but she is badly wounded and lying helplessly on the table. Goring immediately pulls her to safety. In the chaos of caring for her, they fail to notice that Imogiri's dog has eaten a portion of the food. Suddenly, the temperature plummets. Goring quickly grabs the remaining food and throws it down to the next level. And the temperature returns to normal. That night, Miharu and Imogiri get into a sudden, heated argument. Goring rushes over to pull them apart, only to realize that Miharu has killed Imogiri's dog. To survive, Miharu has clearly become a creature of ruthless, savage instinct. However, toward Goring, who had previously shown her kindness, she retains a sense of compassion, proof enough that the harsh environment has merely forged her into this creature of survival. Imogiri tells Goring that Miharu's child cannot possibly exist. When Miharu arrived 10 months ago, she came alone and was not pregnant. If she had conceived after arriving, it would be impossible, given that the child was already sighted 2 months ago. Imogiri reveals she has worked for them for 25 years, while Miharu has been here for 8. Until now, she truly did not know what kind of place this was. I promise I am not lying. Do you believe me, Goring? You don't believe me, do you? Well, I really need you to believe me now, Goring. As it turns out, 3 years ago, Imogiri was diagnosed with breast cancer. Knowing she didn't have much time left, she volunteered to come here to experience the reality of the system. She wanted to change something before she closed her eyes for the last time, which explains her relentless persistence. Meanwhile, back in the kitchen, the escargot with wine sauce that Goring once requested is prepared with exquisite care and placed on the platform. Yet, as soon as it reaches level 1, it is torn apart into a mangled mess. Today, however, luck is on Goring's side. The plate of escargot remains untouched. It is the dog's turn to eat, and although the dog is dead, Imogiri still adheres to the rules. Today is the last day you should eat something. We don't know where we will be tomorrow. Clearly, Goring still doesn't know what happens when a cellmate dies. They haven't died, so when they wake up the next morning, Goring finds they have been assigned to level 202. Imogiri, shattered by the realization, has hanged herself. Goring rushes to the central hole and looks down, only to see the same bottomless abyss. Remember what Imogiri said earlier? She once insisted, there are 200 levels. But reality proves that the pit goes far beyond 200. Poor Imogiri realized that she knew nothing about this place. Everything she knew had come from the administration. The administration had lied to her. This is why her psychological state collapsed, leading to her suicide. Consequently, the information she provided, that children under 16 were not allowed, is likely a lie as well. Therefore, it is very possible that Miharu's son is real. Goring has no desire to eat Imogiri, but as hunger claws at his insides, he is forced to compromise with reality. The screen shifts to red, signifying that Goring has slipped back into a delirious state. He sees Trimagasi approach, handing him the knife. Guided by the phantom, Goring uses the blade to carve into Imogiri's flesh. He survives the month sustained by her corpse. When he wakes again, he finds himself on level 6. The number brings Goring a sense of relief. His new cellmate, Baharat, is calling out to the people on level 5. This is the closest he has ever been to the top. He plans to use the rope he brought with him to escape. So he begs the people on level 5 to catch the rope and pull him up. To Goring's disbelief, they agree, but just as Baharat throws the rope and begins to climb, the people above reward him with a pile of excrement. Baharat falls, and were it not for Goring's quick grasp, he would have plummeted into the abyss of the vertical hole. Baharat's spirit is broken. This was his closest brush with the summit, but he realizes that those above will never help those below. A wall separates the classes, and the idea of the upper class pulling the lower class up is a fantasy that will never come to pass. Broken and defeated, Baharat stops struggling. Fortunately, food is plentiful this month. At night, the screen turns red again as Goring drifts into a dream. The shadows of Trimagasi and Imogiri appearing before him. Determined to fulfill Imogiri's wish, he turns to Baharat. Help me go down. We are going to make weapons. Listen to me. Then we ride the platform and distribute to those on each level. What they need to survive. What? I cannot do it alone. But we. Together, we will have a chance. Baharat agrees to Goring's proposal. The next day, they dismantle the bed frame to fashion weapons and step onto the platform. The people on level 5 see this and sneer. You look ridiculous. I hope they kill you two idiots. The pair's actions have no effect on those on level 5. They simply remain onlookers, hoping to see the two face disaster. The vertical hole has created an environment of cannibalism, forcing the darkest, most sinful facets of human nature to the surface. As the platform descends, they approach level 7. The moment the residents there move close, the two brandish their weapons, forcing them to retreat. Goring believes that those on the first 50 levels have been eating their fill for days, so they can afford to go without food for a while. Along the way, they use force to threaten others, forbidding them from approaching the table. Unexpectedly, on one of the levels, Baharat encounters his mentor. Back into the corner, or I'll kill you. Baharat. Look at you two puppets. You're stepping on the food. Get off of there. From Baharat's expression, it is clear he deeply respects his mentor. Moreover, his humanity has not yet been extinguished by this environment of mutual consumption. Goring asks Baharat who this man is. He is a very wise man. Didn't you learn anything? Have you forgotten our lessons? Baharat tells the philosopher that he only wants to ensure every level gets to eat. The philosopher approves of their approach but argues that it isn't the main point. The point, he says, is to force the administration to see the reality of what is happening below. The way to do that is to choose one dish and send it back up completely untouched. This dish would serve as a signal. Once the administration sees it, they will understand the chaos below. Goring finds the philosopher's reasoning sound, so he chooses a portion of pudding and swears to protect it with his life. After the platform descends past level 50, they begin distributing food to those on each floor. By level 96, Goring finds an old man who is ill and gives him a bowl of soup. To his surprise, the old man's cellmate barks. He's going to die anyway. I'll smother him with a pillow. Eat and don't talk nonsense. I'm going to gut him and eat the food you just fed him. At this moment, Goring realizes that even among the people they're trying to save, there are demons. As they descend deeper, they find that many levels are filled with the dead. The platform only stops if there is no one left alive on a floor. Goring had previously calculated the number of levels based on how long the platform stopped. Now he realizes the actual number of floors is far higher than he estimated. This means the food they calculated might not be enough to go around. Suddenly, they hear a woman scream from below. A man is pinning her down, stabbing her repeatedly. Goring immediately jumps down, pulls the man away, and beats him to the ground. While Baharat fights off another assailant, the man Goring is pinning suddenly flips, pinning Goring and strangling him. Baharat is wounded by a knife, but seeing them both at a disadvantage, he suddenly stabs his opponent to death. While Goring drives his steel pipe into his own attacker, they manage to eliminate their foes together. No. No. It's that day already, that platform. I knew it. Go. Go. Baharat drags Goring onto the platform. The levels below are almost entirely populated by the dead. Even where there are survivors, they no longer have food to offer them. Finally, the platform stops at level 333. Some believe there is no one here, and the platform has reached the absolute bottom. But then, Goring discovers a little girl hiding under the bed. He climbs down from the platform, and Baharat follows. Unexpectedly, the platform continues to descend, meaning level 333 is not the bottom. Goring tells Baharat to throw away the pudding he is holding, or the temperature will shift to lethal extremes. But Baharat refuses to let go. What? You should run. I won't be alone. Goring sees that the girl is starving and decides to give her the pudding. Baharat is reluctant, as the pudding is the signal they protected with their lives. But eventually, they both hand it to her. Why did they make this choice? Because, according to Imogiri, children under 16 are not allowed in this pit. But now that she is here, it is a direct violation of the vertical hole's public regulations. By sending her back up, they are sending a signal to the administration. As for the audience's debate over whether the girl is real, AJ can confirm that she is indeed real. Why did the mother claim to be searching for a boy? Because she lied to protect her daughter. As the depravity of the men here is far more intense toward girls. How did she survive at the bottom? Because her mother sent food down every month. How did she move from the high levels to the bottom every month? Because she killed her cellmates every time. When Goring first arrived, the person who fell from above was that mother's cellmate. How do we know she is real? The director gave us the clue: when Goring hallucinates, the film is tinted red. But when he sees the girl, the film retains its normal, cool gray tone. Therefore, Goring is not hallucinating. And after they send her up, does the administration see the signal? Do the rules change? The answer is, of course, no. The administration understands the situation below perfectly well. In fact, this is precisely how they meticulously designed the system. They want this outcome. It is exactly like employees complaining about low wages and heavy workloads. Does the management not know? Of course they do. They simply want cheap labor. This is the law of the social hierarchy. Only by ruthlessly oppressing the lowest class can the top live in luxury. And between different classes, empathy is nearly impossible, as everyone is preoccupied with their own survival and self-interest.